with White Labs, an e-commerce marketing agency. Today's guest is Dominick. Dominick, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Well, my name is Dominick. I own Route 32 Riding Gear, a little motorcycle shop just about an hour outside of Northeast Philadelphia. And I specialize in riding gear that doesn't necessarily look like riding gear, but has protective properties. It's kind of how this all got started.
Well, tell me more about the brand and your products.
Well, a little history on the product.
Sure.
I used to work at a large, well-known American-made dealership. And at the time, I did not have a helmet. And I went to look for one that did not have branding on it for the type of motorcycle I rode, which was a cruiser bike, and couldn't find anything that was that style. So I kind of started looking into opening up my own business. And then during that time, it was about a 2.5-year period when I started looking into it. A friend of mine who worked at the dealership with me got into a low-speed accident and passed away because he wasn't wearing a helmet. Because for the most part, he didn't like the way they looked or felt or anything like that. So it kind of gave me a bit of focus on what I wanted to do. And that was find a way to get people to wear protective gear without looking like football players riding down the street.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started.
Awesome. Well, I'm sorry about your friend, but at least it, inspired you to make it better.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly have reports that I have saved 3 lives. People who did not wear helmets in the past, who bought one from me because they liked the style helmet that I carried and that I sold, and they were wearing it at the time of an accident, and they said it most likely saved their life. So yeah, mission accomplished for that, and I hope to save as many more as possible.
Awesome. And you have an e-commerce store too, right? You can buy on your website?
Here.com. It's powered by Shopify, like most people. I also have a brick and mortar store in New Hope, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. And
which is where we're sitting today.
You kind of talked about it, but who do you feel is your target audience?
My target audience is the Harley rider that wants to wear protective gear, but doesn't want to look like they're wearing protective gear. And also the V-twin rider that is on a metric motorcycle that wants the style of a cruiser motorcycle, but not the Harley name on it or the Indian name or something like that. So it's the style that they want without the name branding and also much less expensive.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So what makes you different, or you could say better than your competitors?
I don't necessarily think I'm better than any of my competitors. I think I am different in that I try to focus on the cruiser style. So for example, if you go into most Honda, Suzuki, and Kawasaki dealerships, they're going to be focused on race branding. They're going to be all full face helmets. They're going to be bright colors, leather jackets with skid plates and things like that, where when you come into my store, you're going to see a much more muted color palette. The leather is going to be just as good, but also just muted colors. And they will have impact padding inside, but it won't be rated at the 200 miles an hour of a race jacket. They're more highway rated, back roads rated, things like that. So you can pick and choose how much you want to protect yourself. And for some people, not protect yourself. Some people will only wear a full face helmet. Some people will only wear a half. Some people will never wear a helmet. Those are the people I'm trying to get them to wear at least a halfie to get them started down the road of protecting themselves.
Awesome. Makes total sense. What are your best-selling products?
Best-selling products is the half helmets. Okay. I mostly try to deal with local vendors. So the company that I deal with the most and sell the most of is, I hope we could say, but it's Badass Helmets. And that's literally the company's name. They're right here in Pennsylvania, just about an hour or so drive from where I'm at. So I go and I just pick them straight up from their place in Phoenixville and Pottstown area. And then for a lot of my leather, I have a company right down in Maryland called Daniel Smart. And I also have one over in Carlstadt, New Jersey called Unique Riding Gear. But I also carry national brands that are available to order, like First Manufacturing. Those are a drop ship one that I use on my website. I also carry the most expensive, most protective helmets, like under the Shoei brand, also available on my website to be purchased as a drop ship. But in store, I mostly focus on the cruiser gear and the very subtle gear.
Awesome. Makes total sense. So most of our listeners are entrepreneurs and have e-commerce stores. What are some successful activities you've done to promote the website and the brand?
YouTube has been very helpful. This is my 3rd YouTube interview. Also, because of the age and focus of my customer base, I find that Facebook actually is the best bang for my buck because I can geo-target outside my area. I can target by likes. I can target by TV programs, motorcycle brands, other things that they look at. All that stuff is available. And while it has gotten more expensive, I still get a very good return on it. So if I spend, say, $100 to promote something, and out of that I sell 3 helmets, well, I've not only made my money back and got a little extra.
Awesome. What are some challenges you faced in the last few years, and how did you overcome them?
Well, obviously for everybody, the main challenge was, the disease that should not be named on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, I did have to take a couple EIDL loans just to get me through it. But what was the best about that is my customer base came through for me. They ordered from me. They made online orders. They accommodated the pickup style that we had to do here in New Hope because we were closed for about 5 months. So I just, like I said, used Facebook, kept in touch with everybody, kept posting, and just basically kept everything up and running. And I also have to put a great shout out there to my landlord who only charged me half rent for those months.
Look at that. Very, very kind of your landlord at that time.
So it was a collective effort. I mean,
Yeah.
I would like to say, here's everything I did that you should do, but really you got to look to your customers. You got to get in touch with them and try to bring things that they want and be able to run back and forth from the store to shipping places and, just did what needed to be done.
No, that's great. Any advice you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to enter your industry?
No, because I don't want them to beat me. No, I'm just kidding. In retail, you know what? For just in general, entrepreneurs, know what you don't know and pay somebody else to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most important thing. So I don't know accounting. I can't do accounting. So what I did is I made sure I was 100% paperless, and I had my accountant walk me through what buckets were, what goes into what bucket, what expenses are. And all I do is I have those now set up in my QuickBooks to where certain expenses automatically drop in. And if I have a question, I call them, and that's kind of it. So I'm not doing all of that paperwork. And that's it. Really know what you don't know and pay someone else to do it.
That's good advice. Do you have an agency doing your Facebook and everything? You do it yourself?
It's all myself.
There you go. What's your future plan for yourself and the brand?
It's only been about 10 years, and with COVID, so say it's about 7 years at this point. I have last year for the first time surpassed my in-store sales on a weekend 3 times with internet sales. So for me, that is a very big deal because New Hope, when I did my study before I opened up in New Hope is centralized. It's between Philadelphia and it's between New York. So I get customers from both cities. We're about an hour outside of each one. So we're an hour from Long Island, we're an hour from Philadelphia. So a lot of it has been foot traffic. That's basically what built the brand. That's what got people in the door. Those were my first internet orders, things like that. So internet orders exceeding my weekend walk-in traffic was a big deal. So when I opened up here, I went through the New Hope Historical Society and found out that yes, 40 people walk through New Hope and approximately 30% of those are on motorcycle. And if I could sell, I think an average at the time was like a $45 sale to 10% of the people, I could at least make my rent and make some money. So that's kind of where that all came from. Going into the future, I'm going to keep pushing my internet and web sales.
Well, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know about your brand? Anything I haven't asked you that you want them to know?
Well, there is something I would like to show, because it is my bestseller.
Of course.
But if this is going to be more of a listen, I'm not sure show and tell will help. But
no, show and tell is great.
Okay, great. So
yeah,
this is a standardized half helmet right here.
Uh-huh.
And it is the smallest Department of Transportation certified helmet you can buy. So when you put this on, you don't have the large head look or the big mushroom head look. In addition to what you see here, this particular company also does 3-dimensional build outs to really separate their helmets. And they have a patent on this. This is the newest one. It's called the Scars and Stripes.
Wow,
so you can see it has a 3-dimensional build out on the helmet itself in the form of an American flag. And it's asymmetrical. So it's different on both sides because the gentleman that makes these is an artist who used to work for Disney. They're all hand painted, all handcrafted and molded, and they're made from a polycarbonate that allows flex and dispersion of energy better than 3 times the DOT standard. So most DOTs are tested at around 13 miles an hour for crush, puncture, and things like that. These are actually tested at 37 miles per hour, which is 3 times the standard. And if they don't pass, they don't make the cut. So they're probably the best half helmet in the industry. No, they are the best half helmet in the industry. And that is what brings people to my store. I'm one of only, I think, 4 vendors that actually carry these online for shippability.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you showing. They look amazing, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Definitely.